Guys, like, comment, subscribe, share the video, especially if you love college football as much as I do. The South Carolina Gamecocks, they had a really good season last year. I can't say amazing, but it was an amazing finish up until the bowl game. Because a lot of people had South Carolina not even making a bowl game, and I was one of those that said they could win at least 7 or 8 games. And I actually predicted they would go 8-5 last year, 8-4. They ended up going 9-4, and I was really happy to see that. They bring back Lenore Zellers. They bring back Rocket Sanders, their running back and quarterback. They bring back a lot of pieces from last year, and the recruiting has been through the roof these last few years. Shane Beamer has been doing some really good recruiting, hitting the portal really hard. He loves his program. The players clearly love him with how they play, and I like what he's been doing as a head coach. I actually said when he got hired – and he had a 7 to 6 years first year. Some people weren't really talking highly of that. I actually thought that's pretty good because before that, South Carolina was a joke. Now people respect them more. People are taking them more seriously. You know, they finished 9-4 last year. They lost to Illinois in a bowl game, in a very close, competitive game that could have gone his way. Easily could have been a playoff team. Let's look at the schedule here. They have to go on the road to Virginia Tech. This should be a really good football game just because it's at Virginia Tech. And South Carolina and Virginia Tech have both been known to be teams that put up points. However, I do think that South Carolina has the better team. I think they're better coached than what Virginia Tech has. Give me South Carolina with a big victory. Now, I would not be shocked to see South Carolina drop this game because it's at Virginia Tech. It's an ACC, SEC thing. I'm better than you deal every time these type of conference teams represent these conferences and play each other, especially in week one. The ACC and the SEC try to compete with each other. Then they play South Carolina State. That's a win. Vanderbilt at home, I think that's a win. I know Diego Pavia is coming back. And I know Vanderbilt had a pretty good year last year. But by now, the teams that Vanderbilt beat last year, they have to play those same teams. And what have I said about quarterbacks that have a really big year? They come back, they play a lot of those same teams. Those same teams looked in the offseason and said, all right, he beat us with this. This is how he moves. These are his tendencies. How can we game plan around it? Caleb Williams, for example, with USC. I said when he beat up Notre Dame that first time in 22 and 23, what happened? They game planned specifically for him and said, he likes to move here. He likes to step there. What happened? They sacked him. They sacked him. He had pick sixes. He threw interceptions. He did a lot of things because, again, they've played him before. So I think Vanderbilt will kind of struggle a lot more this year than they did last year. So give me South Carolina with a big victory there at home. At Missouri, that's a win. Missouri, I don't think much of them. And again, look, last year they did win 10 games, but they didn't really play anybody that good on their schedule. They did beat a good Iowa team, and they did lose to a really good Texas A&M team. And then they also lost to Alabama, and then they lost to somebody else I forgot about. But they lost a lot of games. They won a lot of games, but not against quality competition. Go figure. Then they host Kentucky. Kentucky's coach Bob Stoops and Shane Beamer have kind of made comments about each other indirectly. I think Bob Stoops years ago said something about stupid sunglasses, and Shane Beamer said, let's be respectful to the media. There's a little video of him on YouTube. I thought it was pretty cool. But he said some people talk about stupid sunglasses. He had his hat backwards, made a face, put on the glasses, and started dancing with some music, and it was clearly a shot at Kentucky's coach. And he has yet to lose to Kentucky. He had a 5-7 year just the year before last. Still beat Kentucky. So it's a good year. I think they should continue to win that game just because. So now South Carolina's 5-0. They're probably going to be in the top 15, top 10 somewhere. People are like, oh, my God, it's amazing. And then they go to LSU after a bye week. I know there's going to be a lot of frustration and a lot of emotions involved in this game because of what happened last year. It was a big chance for them to pull off a win at home last year, and they lost. I think they go on the road to LSU. And look, you already know how I feel about Brian Kelly and LSU. I don't think he's a high-quality coach. He's a good coach. He wins a lot of games, but anytime there's big games, he can't get it done on a consistent basis. That's just a fact. I think LSU gets it done here, pulls off a big win in Tiger Stadium, and hands South Carolina their first loss of the season. Fast forward, they have to come back and host Oklahoma. That's going to be a really good football game. That's a big win. A big game. Actually, I have that backwards. I think they go to LSU and beat them. That's why they go in there and beat them, because I don't think Brian Kelly's a elite level coach. He's a good coach, but he can't get the big games done. And I think they go after a bye week. They go on the road and get it done. And then they have – here's the thing I talk about with after a big win. Some teams don't handle that success very well, and I talked about that with Texas. I mean, with Florida hosting Texas, and I think they beat Texas and beat a top five Texas team, and then they have to go on the road like this team's about to do. They don't go on the road, but they come back home and have to play a really good football team like Florida having to go to A&M, and I think they lose. And then here you have it again. They have to come back home and play Oklahoma. I think they lose that one. I think they continue to. I think Oklahoma gets payback on them for what they did to them last year, beating them 35-9, whatever it was. I remember they had two quick defensive touchdowns. Sellers had a touchdown. They were up 21-0 in the first quarter. And after that, you take away those 21 points, it's 14-9. They still beat Oklahoma, but they barely beat a team with no offense and a really good defense. I don't think that's the case this time. I think Oklahoma handles business and gets a big victory over them. And then they have to host Alabama. I think this is a get-back game for them. Last year, you know, Shane Beamer has to have this game circled. You know he has to have it circled because of last year losing by 2 points. I think South Carolina wins this game. And again, y'all know how I feel about Alabama. I'm not a fan of DeBoer. Not him as a coach, but him fitting at Alabama. I don't think it's working. Last year they lost 4 games. 3 of those games were unacceptable at Vanderbilt, at Oklahoma. You know, 50% teams, and then losing to half of a Michigan team that was not very good last year. That's not good business. So I think they beat Alabama, and then Ole Miss and at Texas A&M. I'm gonna skip the Texas A&M and Clemson games for a minute. I mean, I'm gonna skip the. No, I'm not going to skip any games. I think they win at Ole Miss. Ole Miss, I'm not expecting a whole lot from this year. I'm not saying they won't have a good team, but they lost a lot from last year's team. And Lane Kiffin has had some good years, but some things he has not done. Win the SEC, beat Bama, make the playoff. He hasn't done that yet, and I don't think he's going to do it this year. So give me a win for South Carolina. I think they go to Ole Miss's house. Like last year, they got destroyed. They get a big win here as payback. Texas A&M, they beat them down pretty good last year with the running game. A&M could not stop it. I still don't think A&M's going to stop the run from anybody this year. I think they'll handle it better. I think their defensive front will improve, and Mike Elko's going to get with them boys and get them right and get them where they can play better. But I still think South Carolina goes on the road and finds a way, and this will be a signature win for South Carolina and Shane Beamer. I know he's had some wins against Clemson. I'll get into Clemson in a second, but he's never had that road win outside of the rivalry where it's like, that's the one. That solidifies me as a coach. This will be it. Because it's at Texas A&M. A&M's a hard place to play, and it takes a special coach and a special team to get it done over there. And I think he finds a way with his guys to get it done. His defense steps up and does what it did not do last year and win 1 or 2 more games. It lost the Illinois game, and it pretty much gave up. Not didn't give up, but it made them look bad against Ole Miss. Fast forward to Coastal Carolina. That's a trap game. Coastal Carolina is not exactly a pushover. They have been pretty good in the last several years, but I think they pull out a big W over there, and then they go on the road at Clemson. Clemson, I'll be honest, they made a great decision last year getting rid of Wes Godwin, whatever his name was, and hired the defensive coordinator from Penn State, Tom Allen, whatever his name is. Clemson's about to make some noise. They might win the whole thing this year. It's possible just because they're in the ACC. South Carolina has yet to do something with Shane Beamer. Win 10 games and beat Clemson at home. I think he can win 10 games this year. He's not beating Clemson at home. Hasn't done it yet. Sorry. So until I see it, it ain't happening because they got a good quarterback too in Cade Klubnik. That offense was very explosive last year. That defense is about to be really good with a new defensive coordinator because they got the talent. That ain't the problem. Just somebody that didn't do their job last year. But there you have it. I got South Carolina going 10-2. They could beat Clemson. They still could lose to Clemson. They could lose to LSU. They could lose that first game to Virginia Tech. It's possible. I mean, at best, I got them at 10-2. At worst, I could have them at 8-4. But either way, they're gonna have another really good year. Could be a playoff team. And actually, they could make the SEC here with losing to just LSU and beating everyone else. They could make the SEC title game, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I got them going 10-2.